What are lists in Unity? Lists hold multiple number of variables in order. It can hold game objects, floats, integers, etc. and so forth. So lists store data and arrange that data. It can store bullets, enemies, cards, and well, whatever you want actually. When you create new script, it already has this namespace called System Collections Generic. That is the thing that allows us to work with lists in Unity. Lists are declared like this. You declare them in the upper side of the script before you start any functions. What can you do with lists? First of all, for loops. What are for loops? For example, I have a list of cards or enemies that I use in my game. I want them all to do something. How can I tell them what I want to do to each individual object? I use for loop. I say for every position on the list, go through this list one by one and do something with each object. Lists need to count objects somehow. So they don't count the objects directly, they only count the position of anything you have, like objects or integers or floats, on this list, starting with 0. So you start with a 0, and then 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Another way to go through the for loop is for each. Like, for example, for each game object in this list, you do something with these objects. You get its components, you activate it or deactivate it, etc. You can limit something by the number of objects on this list. And you do it like this. You say, for example, if your number of something, possible turns, possible number of enemies, etc., isn't greater than the number of objects you have on this list, then you do or stop doing something. So it's a good way to limit something that happens in your game, either enemy spawning, bullets spawning, or cards in different piles, etc. How to add objects on the list? You simply write the list, add, and you say which object you want to add. And removing the object is the same. You just say list, remove, and you remove the object. You can also clear the list. You just say list, clear, and it will be empty after that. If you want to remove objects from the list while you're going through it, for example, you spawn enemies and you add them to some list, and then you need, for some reason, you need to remove that somehow while you're spawning enemies. So the way Unity won't allow you to do this in the strict order, because it will skip some objects. Well, because imagine if you spawn enemies from the list and you go with one by one, and then you remove something from this list at the same time, of course it will be prone to error, because you switch the number of, while you're deleting objects from the list, you move numbers up on the list. So it will just be very buggy and it will have a lot of mistakes. So the way you do this, you iterate through the list, but backwards, from bottom to the top. This way, no problems, no errors, etc. So the way you do this is you go backwards. You say not go from 0 to 1, but from the last position to the top. If you wish to support further lessons, etc., you can buy a game and you can also play it. It's quite fun. Thank you so much. Bye bye.